It is the holiday season. Welcome to Q4 of the Quarterly Book Club. I'm Sam, and we are going to be talking about Quackery, a brief history of the worst ways to cure everything. Honestly, I think my heart shrank 3 sizes smaller for what some of the horrors that these poor people had to go through to get us to the medical marvels that we have today. But we're going to get into that really in depth pretty soon. Joining me today is Nathan. You know him well from this year. He's been on 3 of the last 4 episodes. And we have a wonderful new guest, Chris, who is joining us today. And we're going to be talking about all of the oddities and quackery that went on over the last many years. So from lobotomies to leeches to bloodletting to mercury for medical purpose, for you just bathe in it. Cures everything. So this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this book, and I hope you did too. And I hope you enjoy our episode. Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Sam, and yes, the red light's on this side. And he also said the words, "We're ready whenever you're ready."
But was there a countdown or like an action?
No, we just start.
Yeah.
And then he'll edit whenever.
That's why I like Chris.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
And be good.
Start over. Sam, we can start anytime. You're being really
Can
good.
we? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I had no idea. So, he's a jerk, but you already know that because he's been here for multiple times. You guys know Nathan.
Hello?
Might as well just call him a co-host now.
Bro-host. Co-broast.
Bro.
Bro-broast, there you go.
And a wonderful Chris is here with us because this is Kayla's husband. You'll remember her from last year, from the episode from the Butterfly Garden, which is still one of my favorite books that we've read for this club. So, but she's loaning us her husband because she couldn't be here today.
He's on loan.
He is on loan. She's
dealership.
like, I give you permission for only these hours. Delicate. He's very delicate. So
$45 an hour.
but yeah, it's.
Blew the budget for next year. Sorry.
So make sure, please, that you donate on Patreon so we can afford him.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/IABD. Anyway. So we read Quackery, a brief history of the worst ways to cure everything. Good. I spoke to you, Chris, on Thanksgiving, and now it's been a few weeks. What do you think of the book?
So the best way to explain my feelings about the books is, so I'm a nurse, and I work with doctors and med students all the time.
I wondered how he'd see it. Go ahead.
And it feels like a med student went to school for their first year, came home during spring break, and tried to impress all their friends with all the half stories that they learned. And they also have ADD and couldn't stick to one story for longer than 30 seconds.
So you did not like
No, it was I could not finish it. It was so bad that I had to actually go and buy the audio book.
Yeah.
And even then, the lovely lady with her sultry voice could not keep me entertained long enough to.
Okay. So the comparison, the comparison of the two, audio versus reading it, you still couldn't. Had a hard time.
Is
Did
the
you
audio?
finish?
Is this one?
No, I
unabridged?
did not finish. No.
It's like Ready Player One was unabridged, so like it read exactly how the book.
Yes.
You know if like this one unabridged, the audio?
Yes, it's unabridged. It's
Okay.
word for word.
Okay.
Okay. So Chris did not like it. Nathan.
100% opposite feelings. Oh my God. I'm just a sucker for facts. I don't know if it's statism or what.
Then you read the wrong book.
I read this is one we read, right?
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
one.
just saying if you wanted facts.
But one of the authors is
Well, no,
an
I mean,
MD.
as far as facts as like what they consider to be like, this is how this needs to be healed. I just loved how, I guess for lack of a better word, screwed up we've been. And I'm wondering how in 50 years from now, if there's going to be another edition where, back in 2000 and 2018, they thought this is how they cured cancer, the fools. How could they believe that when, I know, but it's just interesting to me, like, to see how far we've come with medicine, with, healing certain parts of the body, coping mechanisms, where we've come from and what we will consider, asinine,
100,
50
200 years from now, definitely. Well, the one thing that struck me that this fact stuck in my head was that bloodletting.
Oh, God, wait, which one are you on?
Bloodletting was outlawed or was banned in California in 2010.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, what? So that's a little crazy. I enjoy this as well.
Sweeney Todd type shit with bloodletting and also Mozart.
I mean,
that's one thing I want to.
I love all your notes.
Yeah, I was so excited. I thought you would love it.
I thought so too. Because Kayla was really liking it.
Well,
before
I mean,
well, usually, okay, I guess that makes sense. Kayla likes something that
Kayla and I
usually like it.
Well, opposites attract, so
yeah,
and that creates conversation too. So, is there any part of it that you did enjoy? Was there a fact or a chapter that you thought was interesting?
I mean, so I guess saying that I hated it is not true. I mean, I got really interested in things, and then they moved on from the thing.
Okay, so it moved too quickly.
Yeah,
and you wanted to dig in.
It was written like. I understand it's a brief history.
He's pointing out brief.
But
briefs.
Underwear, briefs.
Unfortunately, like
super brief.
It was like he was telling stories at the bar. It's like, oh, so I went down to the corner store and I picked up some opium, and this lady passed out. Oh, and now I'm going to talk about cocaine. And we're like, wait.
But
there was no information in there.
Let's dig deeper. Why? No, okay, I can definitely understand that. There were some things, like I have like Nathan has his things there. I have these little fancy book darts. You can't really see them on the camera, but they're awesome. And but you can see at the beginning, I have a ton of them, and then they get less and less as you go, because I thought the elements and everything in the very beginning was probably,
especially with the arsenic.
Yeah, for me it was probably the most
gold.
Fascinating when we started getting into like corpse
the
therapy and stuff like
cannibalism,
that.
loved it.
When we got into the more squeamy stuff, I was like, less things for me to
I don't
dart.
have much with the electricity section, because I'm just like, I understand like how we've come, but I'm just sitting there like, how can you think that if you lie in a bathtub of water and then we're just gonna electrocute you, and it should help your grades. Like it's
shock therapy. We still use shock therapy today.
I know, and some of it made me think of if you've ever seen The Secret Garden. I don't know if they mentioned it in the book. I've never read the book, but I know in the movie I forget his name. The boy that cannot walk. He's the one that I thought of when they were talking about the electric therapy. He's the one I thought of, and it really helped me like figure out, because in the movie like he's screaming and he's crying because it hurts so bad, and that's where I went to when I got to that section. But.
So what did you find most fascinating?
I guess the thing when I started to hit things that I didn't already know from like nursing school. So
I know it's like Jeopardy smart.
Yeah, well, I like got a degree and stuff.
I guess.
Yeah. And the degree's just not medical.
Yes. Well, I have a non-medical degree too. We could use that one, I guess.
I'll just access that one part of my brain, and then. But so, as a nurse, what did you?
So I guess like in the elements section, I didn't know that there were times when we bathed in mercury. Yeah. My perception of mercury is there's not that much. So how could you make a bath of mercury? And then of course they moved on immediately, and I didn't get any information on why they did it. What was the purpose beside it, other than the fact that, we're treating syphilis, so we bathed in mercury. Why? I don't know.
We just
no information. That just happened. Let's move on.
Let's try it and go. I thought what was really interesting with mercury is that's how they confirmed and mapped Lewis and Clark's expedition. Yeah. Because they'd find it in their poop. Because they
little trains.
It. So I was like, that's really funny to me and very interesting. And then you read these things and you're like, these people are crazy. What were they doing? But they didn't know. When you don't know, you don't know. And like you said,
when I
can see how
Oh yeah.
we got to this point now, and we had to go through these things to get to the knowledge we have now.
I mean, with the electric shocks treatment, it makes sense because at the time when they started doing that stuff, it was like this brand new technology.
Yeah, with electricity. Yeah.
So it's like a miracle. It runs all this stuff. It does all this stuff. We might as
Does
well
all
just
the things.
put you in a tub and, I don't know, shock you a little bit.
I have a vibrator section in here somewhere.
I mean,
man grease.
well, as a vibrator,
Oh, the man
man grease.
people still use electric shocks for little,
Yeah, they do.
you know,
Dogs.
little something on side.
No, there's
yeah,
what are they called? It's an electro wand, and you use it on your clitoris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said area, she said clitoris.
I said clitoris.
That's true.
I figure a medical professional would
Doctor.
I don't know the
Dr.
language
Hollinger.
like range on.
Oh, you
on,
fucking say whatever you want.
No, you. Oh,
What?
I'm gonna smack you with this book.
I thought we could.
I said just
Do we have to start over?
lightly. No, we don't. 3, 2. No, I don't mind a little bit of language. I just don't. You know, we try to.
Exacerbate. Don't prolong. Don't do too much. That's what
Yes.
exacerbate is. There's masturbation in here. That's not where we're at.
But not in here.
But not in
Not in
not
here.
in this.
Not
one.
on this.
Despite
Couch.
despite what this set looks like.
Despite this couch pattern.
I'm just.
Yeah, that we filmed that video afterwards.
And then the gold.
We need 3 other guys standing behind the couch.
Fluffers.
So that's a reference the internet will get.
Oh god.
But like,
And we'll put 2 ferns
if you
on the
have
other side here.
STDs, you just take some gold and your STDs
Yeah, just
will
rub
be free. And it's
No,
just like
the
what?
gold didn't treat the STDs, Nathan. Did you even read the book?
Yes.
It was longevity. And
What was the other stuff? No, some of the stuff is insane. I think.
Do you want to go over certain sections?
Yeah.
Okay. Where you want to go?
Antimony was the one that I thought was interesting.
Oh, that's in the beginning.
And
Antibronis.
okay. And radium was insane. There's a recipe for something that I did mark, so I gotta find this recipe because it calls for crushed unicorn horn.
oh yeah, I was just
Yeah, in the very beginning, or somewhere in the beginning, but
which they suspect was narwhals or rhinos.
yeah.
Although maybe that's the reason there's no unicorns. We've driven them out of to extinction. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
my favorite.
medical purposes.
My favorite part from that section is a poison is not a poison in the hands of a physician.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like-
that's in the mercury section.
Antimony.
Antimony section. Yeah.
So opium, it's in the opium section. Opium gets an upgrade to
Laudium.
Thank you, laudium. So Pericles' mouse poop, laudium, from the Latin laudere, to praise. I don't know.
That's spot on, by the way.
Isn't it?
Actually, that's the section I'm on in the audio.
Was
right now.
supposedly concocted of 25% opium plus mummy. You read that correctly. See the cannibalism section on page 221.
Loved it.
Bazor stone, taken from the cow's digestive tract. Henbane, a sedative and a hallucinogenic plant. Amber, crushed coral and pearls. Musk oils and bone from the heart of a stag, and a unicorn horn. And that's how you create. How do you say it again? Latin.
No.
Laudium?
Yeah.
Laudium?
Laudanum. I could,
what's-
if I hit
what's it
play,
look like?
she would say the word for us because that's
Oh, laudanum.
what
Laudanum,
she's
yeah.
currently talking about. but-
Yeah.
No, this.
I'm terrible with these pronunciations,
You're fine.
so
I've
some of this
forgotten
stuff in
about-
my head I just blow right past
Well,
it.
no.
I'll just
Back in
make
the
up words in my head.
the Oliver Goldsmith guy, I forgot to highlight this. How he wanted to be his own physician and thought
Yeah.
that he was a doctor. So his therapy, to cure a fever was just to vomit. And apparently he vomited so much he went into convulsions and then died. And I'm just trying to imagine like throwing up for 18 hours and still thinking like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And then you just convulses.
I'm
and
feeling
it's-
better. I'm feeling better. I'm dead.
Then he's just dead. Or the later on, the women who were I haven't got to the lobotomy section. I forget where I marked that at. But the ones that the starvation,
Yeah.
like starving yourself to the point like I'm like feeling tired. I'm not feeling so because you didn't eat. I highlighted something about not eating breakfast, and I just wrote like what the f beside it, like just the funny But we can. Well, we'll get there. Where do
So
you
we're
want to go
just-
to next?
You guys are the ones you're the guests. You tell me. I already gave my 2
Well, I
cents.
guess, I mean, talking about since we were on the laudanum section and the opium, one of the things in there that kind of interested me was they briefly talked about how they used to use opium mixed with hemlock for executions,
Yeah.
which was interesting to me in 2 points. One, because that's all, I mean, that sounds like pretty humane in the sense of like, let's get them drugged up before we kill them, which struck me as interesting for the time. I just always assumed they just took him out back and shot him like a dog. But also just the sense that they probably didn't even need the hemlock when you're just giving them enough opium.
Yeah. Well, and then that turned into the creation of heroin,
Yeah.
which they used as a medical, medical marvel. The one theme that I saw throughout everything was they're trying to find a cure-all.
Right.
One thing to cure everything. And they keep advertising, and the advertisements in here are
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. Yeah.
It's all the historical references and like the pictures I thought were really cool, like the posters.
And I'm trying to imagine like what our parent, like for some of like the like stuff from like the 1950s and 1960s in here that they were doing. I'm trying to imagine like my parents walking down the street as a child and seeing these signs and thinking like, oh, I've done, like I never asked my mom or dad, I should have asked, or my grandparents stuff out of here, and I never did, which is the one thing that I regret is finding out, like it's one thing like to see some of the posters, but like to actually like
you were the one
see
who was
that
marketed
crazy.
too.
Yeah.
Well,
Like especially with arsenic. I mean, God.
I mean, you can kind of see it now even on TV. Like, just look at Tylenol. So, the difference between a lethal dose of Tylenol and a safe amount of Tylenol that you can have a day is like 4 pills.
I have an ignorant question that we might have
Didn't
to
know it
pause.
was that little.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So
can
Tylenol is
kill you?
extremely dangerous if you overdose on it. Can
Oh.
cause like liver failure and other stuff. So, like we have these drugs nowadays. We just still think we don't.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know that. I don't take much medicine. I didn't realize that you could I mean, I knew you could
I just didn't know it was that little a dose.
Another
Like,
good
so if
example
I,
is all
like-
this pushback against like the like here in Ohio where we live, all this pushback against like the over prescribing pain medications
Oh, that,
and
yeah.
things and stuff like that too. That was all originally pushed by the drug companies who were lobbying doctors, lobbying hospitals, giving them discounts if we try this pill over this.
Right.
Discount cards if you go home and you get if you choose Vicodin as your pain medicine. So it still happens, even with all of our regulations and things in place. So
It's crazy to think about. Like, we think these guys are insane, but we're doing the exact same thing. We just know more about it.
yeah, I mean, even with Tylenol, there's I can't remember the exact time or who said it, but there's stuff like former FDA officials that said if Tylenol had tried to go through the FDA today, it would be a prescription medication, not an over-the-counter drug.
Glad I don't use a lot of it then.
So how many children's Tylenol do you have to take?
Well, children's Tylenol is just like a lower milligram, like
Yeah, what is that?
a smaller amount.
Take a children's Tylenol, like was it Bayer, help your heart or something?
Aspirin is for your
Okay.
heart.
You know what? What was your ignorant question that you want cut out?
Oh, how many can you take before you die? Well, that's never been a concept to me. I'm thinking if you take 2 Tylenol, you're fine. I never thought if you take 10, you're dead.
Well, let's not
Well,
say
I
the
mean-
exact amount for the internet.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
On
Take
interwebs.
more. No.
we do not want you to challenge any
Yes.
of that
Don't,
at home.
this is not like the ice bucket challenge.
We are not the Jackass crew. Please don't do that. Be safe. Listen to your doctor.
Good job. We got that out of the way.
Now back to the jokes.
All right, what's next?
So, well, I just started strychnine. And the thrilling conclusion of the 1904 Olympic marathon, when they were actually mixing it into his water and giving him strychnine because it gives you a boost, and a mental and physical boost before it restricts everything in your body and kills you. I mean, this guy's lucky. Like the winner of the 1904 Olympic marathon, actually, he survived. Hicks. Oh, what's his first name? Yeah. So Hicks won and survived, and they're like, he's very lucky that he survived. He barely made it across, but they had made strychnine energy drinks. I don't drink energy drinks now. I can't even imagine drinking them in 1904.
Oh yeah, let's see in 40 years what taurine does to you.
All those Monster drinks. One of my friends drinks like 5 Monsters a day. It's ridiculous. His heart is probably about to burst.
So after my stomach surgery, I don't have to eat certain things. I still drink Red Bull though. Brought to you by Red Bull.
But there's a difference between moderation and having something once in a while and downing it like it's water.
Well, it is a liquid though. All liquids are water.
Downing it as often as you want.
You can make cocaine a liquid. It doesn't make it right.
My God, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that whiskey's good as, like, you're just thirsty after a long, hard day. Nice whiskey.
I'm going to hit both of them with this
bourbon.
hard book.
You invited two people that are very similar on this podcast.
I know. I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. It's fine.
I forgot about this one.
Stinging crazy bitches.
Like, that's my, yeah.
So what did you highlight?
So
his note says fasting and crazy bitches.
This is the no breakfast plan, and don't eat when you're sick unless you're hungry. Like, just don't eat when you're sick. Like, that'll cure everything. And just a crazy bit, just because, like, this section was, I mean, it seemed to be focused more toward women. There was, like, they meant, like, especially women, like, with corsets and things like that. The woman who, she starved herself, they put her in somewhere, and then she continued to fast again, and then she was, like, training, then she had her own followers. Hold on. Yeah, Linda Hazard. She was definitely crazy, and I highlighted, at least she practiced what she preached. It's like, well, she's dead, but at least she got more people.
The world's first Instagram model.
Well, and it's, like, they're talking about, like, feeling lightheaded and feeling this, and, like, you know, using a corset to up the ante, and it's just like. So that's what I just thought was kind of fascinating with that section.
Try wearing a corset.
And then, it's funny when you see, like, doctor, and you think about what they did back then. It's like, how are you this trained medical person? Like, you know, you went to school for this, you've done all this, and they're like, some people are just ignorant of these. I guess if somebody told me that fasting was going to cure something, now I know better, but would I have known better 100 years ago?
Well, we have a lot more like information and things like, yeah, we still tell people to ask their doctor, but you're also educated to, like, hey, get a second opinion now, which is something that back then was not a thing you did.
Especially if a second opinion meant that you had to go 100 miles, you know, in a buggy or on, you know, well, of course, sorry, 100 years ago we had cars. You know, I get it.
Back in 1980 when we
I know. I just realized we still had cars 100 years ago. I forgot what year it was. But anyway, just back when they couldn't do that.
And it wasn't as easy.
Add another 50.
Just keep adding 50s
keep adding
until
50.
you're right. Just keep adding 50s.
Adding 50s.
It was like 3 people ago.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Joe Rogan
open to the
reference.
sex.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember to sex or not to sex. It was like sex to help you feel better, and then abstinence to help you feel better. And it was just funny with the extreme of one or the other. And then for women, if they were ill or frustrated, it was go sleep with a Greek warrior. And it's just like, man, I would have loved to have been a Greek warrior back then. It's just like
You're like, what is ailing you,
man? What is wrong? Let's go, let's go, get out. And it's just like, all right, let's do this.
STDs spread across the land. Don't worry, rub some gold on it.
AU, good to go. But yeah, that section kind of just fascinated me. I'm trying to remember also read the red page. So
Do you know how I learned that AU was gold? Because my teacher had these like
By
mnemonic
reading the
devices.
periodic table?
Well, she had some, because I don't remember all of them now, but a couple of them I remember because we had these like mnemonic devices. And she's like, AU is gold, and you remember it because like what if someone wants to take your gold? Hey, you, give me your gold, and I'm like, yeah, because okay, I was very little in like early science classes, and then like, do you want any salt? Nah, it's Na, so just these little devices. So every time I'm like, AU, that's gold. AU, give me your gold. So that's how I learned that. Back to
anyway, back to stuff that's interesting.
Before we get letters,
You're good.
we know that salt is NaCl and that Na is sodium, but that was how they taught it in the school. So no letters.
Yeah.
If you knew where to mail them, I guess. I
It
don't
was
know. We should just keep interrupting Nathan. That seems way more fun than this book.
It is pretty fun.
I finally read one. Like last quarter was not my best. Last quarter was not my best work. The Badass Librarians of Timbuktu, because you can't let that title fool you. It
Unfortunately,
just got,
true. Yeah.
So I'm trying to make up for it.
Well, you were super excited about this one.
And this stuff. I mean,
I wasn't going to
finding
invite him
out
back
these,
because he had already been on 2 episodes this year, and I was like, well, I got to find 2 other people, and he was like, oh.
I remember, I don't try to be like, if you can't find somebody, I will do it. And this one, I was like, really hoping other people just die and that I could do it.
You were just going to feed them strychnine until they died, and you could be on.
Pretty much.
Be here.
Just
but no, I.
Epicac it out.
Okay, Family Guy.
Which is funny because, well, Epicac is an example of something that compared to some of these things, you see like 1806, 1910. Epicac hasn't really been taken off since the late 20th century, right?
Was it? Yeah, wasn't it like 04 or something?
Oh,
they said that they took it? Yeah, it was like really
I don't remember.
recent.
But yeah, it's like so that's an example of one that's recent. That's like, oh, okay, well, this is getting really serious. So, but yeah, when I read the for Epicac, that's the first thing I thought of was, no more. Oh my God, I don't want it. Peter, hold my ears, and then Peter, blah. So.
Who wants chowder?
But it's just fun, like the Epicac firing from one end and then the diarrhea. I'm trying to imagine people, like, I guess it makes sense when it's like, well, if I'm sick, I'm going to get the sickness out.
Yeah.
I mean, oddly enough, that section seemed like if I was living back then, and I would think that would make more sense than taking mercury. But if my mom said, well, let's get some diarrhea going, and let's clean this out. I'd be like, okay, Mom. Mm-hmm. But like, I never realized people would throw up or poop to the point where they would die.
Yep. And the bloodletting, people died from a lot of that.
They
didn't know how much blood was in the human
body.
They didn't know that it
fucks you
so
up.
they would just drain your blood to get the sickness out. And like I said, I get it. That mentality sort of got it. We have to get the sickness out of your body. And it's just, again, it's just something at that period of time. When you don't know, you don't know.
Drinking blood is what the blood jam. And,
yes, and
like I understood
the recipe for blood jam was really funny.
And I even marked, where's the leech? I put leeches, but where's the,
That's right, yeah.
Just all first off, I didn't know there were this many type of leeches.
Me neither.
I
That
just
part
thought
was really
there was
interesting
like
to me.
a leech. Like one leech to rule them all. But no, there are a plethora of leeches. And
they have like a diagram of their little mouths, so they leave a Mercedes-Benz
and
scar.
I'm just like, it's like, I'll never look at a Mercedes again the same way.
I'd be like, that's a leech.
But like, I didn't know that first off, I didn't really know that they had a jaw. It makes sense, but I didn't associate it with, an upper or lower, like what we have. And the 300 teeth,
I didn't know
imagine
that.
like just sucking on you.
300 teeth.
Sucking it out. But the leeches to me was one of the few things in here that I could really relate to as far as like what I've seen. You see a lot of movies. I mean, who hasn't seen a movie where they use leeches for medicine? Not one I've actually seen and thought like, okay, I can kind of see why they did that, to suck out the bad blood, things like that. But as far as the bloodletting and then just drinking blood, like Well, I just got done having sex with the warrior, so
Yeah, drink the blood of a warrior.
He's drink the blood of the warrior
For masculine virility.
And I'm just like, oh my god. And then the eating of it. Well, I drink the blood. I fucked the shit out of him. So now he's dead. So let's eat him. Let's do this.
Let's turn him into the candy.
Let's make that man grease.
And a lot of the stuff in there, it's kind of like they almost got all the way right, or not all the way right, but like they got really close on some things. Like, I mean, we still use leeches at the hospital. They're in the pharmacy.
You
do
you really?
You can't. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it even says in there that
that's right.
leeches are still used today in a very highly, controlled method and manner.
Opium led to morphine, which we still use. So it's like
God bless morphine.
They just
Well, and the stuff the leeches secrete to help. That's used, to help as a numbing agent.
Right.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy
it's very interesting how they got very close, and then when he's talking about the diarrhea and the purging and things of that nature, then we have these places all over town, the hydrocolon therapy.
Oh, the water.
I've seen those places. Yeah. You always drive by and you're like,
oh, I didn't think about that. That's right. Like the stuff that you can take that like flushes out like the intestines. A
non-medical enema, because you're just like, man, I really want an enema right now.
Well,
that sounds great.
That reminded me of the Kardashians, because one of the Kardashians likes to have, what is it, honey enemas or something like that? Some sort of thing.
Eat placenta, so let's just throw that out there.
That's still a thing in many
That's
cultures.
But yeah, but they just like to go have enemas, and I'm like, okay, I've never had one, but I guess it's good for you.
I mean, I think the book even references it at some point. It's like the 18th century Dr. Oz. Well, so Dr. Oz is still out there doing damage.
He's a quack.
But he wears scrubs, so that makes him look legitimate.
Remember to get your second opinion.
Yeah.
Don't listen to TV doctors.
What's the other doctor?
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. My second opinion or the doctors.
Oh, man.
Because one doctor was not enough.
Nope.
To fill an hour, we needed 5.
The doctors.
And none of them are ugly. Where are the ugly doctors?
They're the ones that know their stuff.
Like, the doctors on, I mean, I'm just like,
although if you go to an ugly dermatologist.
That guy's gorgeous. Like, I'm just like, even the guys I'm like, what is this? Like, where are the doctors, the hardworking doctors we see every day? I don't care to see an 80-year-old man try to look 40 and be extremely tan. Like, I don't care. Like, where are the actual doctors? Like, don't get me wrong, that one block, she's actually really, really pretty. But like,
I would say that doctors on average are more attractive than average citizens, probably because their income ratio allows for
self-care.
Self-care
But okay, I will say.
Or like, I know how to cure this because I studied it.
The doctor, my grandmother had surgery on both of her shoulders, and the doctor that did her surgeries was a total silver fox, and I was just like, hey.
My shoulder hurts too.
I'm not leaning forward for the silver fox.
Ooh, the fox. But he was just.
Not that I oppose silver fox.
And I looked at my grandma. I was like, "That is your doctor," and she's like, "I know." So, sorry, honey.
Which leads us to lobotomies. What the hell? Like, I understood.
As late as
what, the 50s?
50s and 60s, up to the 60s, yeah.
Because you hear about them, like the only movie that I could even think of to remember was, I think it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I hear about them, but I never this was like the furthest I've ever delved into lobotomies, and it's just like, what was it? Drill the pain away? Drilling to the root of the mat. It's just like, and as somebody who's fascinated by the brain, I guess if it's like, well, if you know exactly where it is, scooping it out. They talked about the scoop they used. Like, we're going to use this. I'm just like, what the hell? I'll find out. Anyway. Just like what they use, like, well, you got to get through the skull, got to get through all that, got to scoop that out, and then it's just like,
When they use just those regular, that drill that you hold and you just, and it
And
just.
they just go, and then it's like this person had 3 holes in their head.
And they just walk around with holes in their head.
What was the Kennedy's
Was it
name?
Rosemary?
It might, yeah, yeah. That I didn't know about at all.
That made me really sad. Like, that hurt my heart because they said they laid her down, and this was before the ice pick method, but he's rooting around in there with that.
The very
Legitimate,
ice pick method.
But right before that, and the dude traveled around, was it Walter Freeman, drove around in his lobotomobile, which I think is the most fun thing to say. I'd like walk around my house and be like, lobotomobile. I'm gonna drive in my lobotomobile.
Make a brobile.
Lobotomobile. So he drills into her head, and he's, got this long flat knife scooting around in her brain, and said that he went too far, and she was encouraged to tell stories, sing songs, recite verses to keep her brain occupied, and that she just slowly stopped talking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That just, it hurt my heart so much. And can you imagine being the family? That's just, she's talking, just.
Well, imagine being, the family, because obviously the Kennedys were,
Are the Kennedys,
yeah. Like, history has been changed because of this family. And it's just like, I would think, unfortunately, they would see her, what's worse than a black sheep? Like, 2 black
Orange
sheep?
Orange
sheep? Yeah, instead of because nowadays,
orange is the new black.
It is.
As someone who works with special needs, it's because it wasn't even her fault. She was born late because she was supposed to come, and they're like, no, keep your legs closed until the doctor gets here.
Yeah.
And it's just, so she had a bad rap coming at me, gross, shooting out, and then, the part of me wanted to help her. It's like, no, but then it's just try to drill it out, and it just gets even worse. And to think of her family, ostracizing her and trying to keep her away. It's just like,
well, in the public in general.
Yeah, and she didn't ask for any of it.
Yeah.
But and if you think, it's not obviously the worst thing a family has done, which is awful. Mm-hmm. I remember reading that what the fudge. But yeah,
that's rough.
That's my lobotomy section.
But it's when we start getting into the body stuff, the surgeries, the cutting off of limbs, and they have the competitions. Who can cut off a leg faster?
Oh my God! I forgot about that. I didn't even mark that.
That was nuts. So
I think I was going to call it ready, set, something. I can't remember what I was going to call it.
Another thing in there that got me. Here, I have it.
The chloroform. I forgot about this one.
One of the things that got me
laughing my gas off. Oh my God. And then the laughing gas made me think.
When they were talking about anesthesia, is the surgery section. Yeah. So around 189.
That made me think of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the laughing is funny.
Yeah.
But so they would have competitions and records as to who can amputate faster.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't have the best equipment, so when they're trying to go through a bone, and the skin and meat is all ragged and gross.
Most people don't care.
And then it heals.
Yeah, well,
bone is a bone.
Dark.
Well, and then it heals.
After
the skin, after all the tearing and trauma, the skin heals above the bone, so the bone is still sticking out of this lump. And I'm like,
it's a little nub.
The bone is still sticking out of the nub. How painful and horrific is that?
Yeah, because you feel that. That's not like it's just sticking out. You feel that. You feel that bone as it sticks out.
How many amputations have you had?
It's worse in the morning. First thing in the morning.
Best part of waking up.
My bone is just so stiff.
It's just sticking out, and it won't.
My blanket got caught on it.
Yeah, it hurts.
It's all so ragged and jagged in the end. It's just tearing things apart. Oh. I feel so bad for these people, but you can't not.
I forget what Saw movie it was, but one of them.
In one of the Saw movies.
Yeah. Well, it was. It was the person that could lose the most weight the fastest. They had, I'll say 2 minutes. I don't remember the time, but it was under 5. They had to lose weight. Jeez. So the guy and the girl look at each other. Ooh, that's 5 minutes. Anyway, they had to look at they looked at each other like, we're not going to do this. But obviously, if they both didn't do it, then he showed them how they would die.
Yeah.
And so, like, it went from, I think, like, a guy cut off his pinky, and then she anteed up by cutting off 2 fingers. And then the guy he tried to cut away, like, his out, because he was fatter, so he in his mind was trying to cut the love handles and everything, but started just like sawing, and he started to get this large chunk, and then he started to realize the blood. And when I read about, you know, like the cutting off your stuff as quickly as you can, like she just hacked her arm off, but it was just how fast they had to do it, and that's what made me think. And yeah,
Quackery, the stuff of horrors. This
Ooh,
is
a
lot of this
just
stuff
popped into my head.
Yeah, well, you think of a lot of horror movies looking through this stuff, and you're like, oh, I can see how that got here.
And oddly enough, the stuff like with the animals, as far as like snake venom and stuff, that one didn't bother me. I mean, some parts of it didn't bother me too much. The beaver testicles was a little,
But with a little brown sauce, like
Little Frank's Red Hot.
so good.
A tale of two
Put that shit on everything.
A tale of 2 testes. I forgot about that. Yeah, some of the but the snake oil, because I know like some people they use snake venom as antidotes and things like that. So that one wasn't too far off.
And the first guy was Clark Stanley. He had success for like 24 years. And then they did an investigation. No snake oil in the snake oil. No snake parts or any ingredients. So he totally fraud everyone. What was it, a $20 fine?
So yeah, it was charged a whopping $20 fine for violating the Pure Food and Drug Act by misbranding his product. He paid the fee, shrugged his shoulders, and slipped out of the pages of history a wealthy man.
That's nuts.
Snake oil.
I have electric therapy and erectile dysfunction, but
Again,
here it was. Masturbation early in life.
Yeah, I don't know. He's really
He's
on this.
really into that.
Like what?
I mean, that's the next podcast.
What?
After
yeah,
this,
we'll do one
let's-
specifically on. Like, tell us about your erectile dysfunction, Nathan.
Masturbation early in life, therefore, was blamed as a source of later problems with erectile dysfunction. Happily, running a light electric current into a tired old penis could go a long way to restoring it to its former glory days. I just thought that was funny, like just simply like give a little buddy a shock and poof.
There you go.
Turn up, get that porno going again.
It's perfect couch for it.
Oh, because of the electric belt, yeah. The electric belt and the electric corset, that's what I forgot about I was just like, why? It's like you're wearing something that is literally frying your insides. It's just like, okay. It's like the pain of, it's just like, I guess it's the whatever of beauty, the pain of beauty or all that stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
And then
it's
the
a real thing.
the electric belt to help with ED for men and all that. And it's like, oh my God.
You
Back to it.
really on erectile dysfunction, Nathan.
It's in the book.
Yeah, but
thought it
there's
was
a lot
funny.
more in the book.
It's what?
Is erectile dysfunction funny to
There's
you?
more than that chapter.
Oh yeah. You want to keep? I mean, you want to talk about the electric brush?
Maybe.
Okay. Well,
Can you?
Tell
you
us
read that
about
part?
the electric brush, Nathan.
It's magnetized. And it was used to brush your hair.
So it is meant to give you static.
Meant to
That's
stimulate.
body.
Yeah.
When your hair's out to here, just stick your finger in a light socket. Don't do that, actually.
Yeah.
My brother did that when he was a kid.
I still have students that try to do that.
Yeah, there was a big old electric burned right up the wall.
Yeah, my mother once tried to cut an electrical cord with a pair of metal scissors. That was fun to watch.
Oh no! My dog, when she was a bitty puppy. You won't find it. I'm telling an anecdote.
No, I've got the hypnotism right here.
She,
I'm gonna throw down the mic and leave if he does one more.
One
bro
more
joke. No more bro jokes.
My apologies. No.
The challenge accepted. She chewed through the wire for my fan that was running, and she shocked herself. And now she goes nowhere near wires, and it's been 3 years. So I was like, So don't F with electricity because it hurts.
Unless it feels good.
Hypnotism?
I've seen it work. I did a story when I was in the Navy on a hypnotist that came to see everyone, and
I want to borrow this so much.
one of the
I'm not.
one of the guys, as I was filming, the hypnotist had hypnotized one of the guys. It just depends on how susceptible your brain is to it.
Well, I just don't
You allow
understand
your
how you
brain
were
to
gonna you were gonna make me feel like I'm a duck.
Yeah. Well, he told the guy, "You've never smelled anything so good as that girl running the camera over there." And you could just see his face. He was like, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he came walking towards me and around me, was just sniffing me. And I was like, "Oh, go away, go away, go away, go away."
Oh, were you the camera girl?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
I was like, "Oh." So it was creepy.
He was a Greek warrior. You just,
If he was a Greek warrior.
man, that cures everything. This is Sparta.
All the women are like in their electric corsets.
Yeah.
Okay. And then afterwards, I'm gonna drink your blood.
Gosh. And then the eating of the skin, the man grease was the blubber, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
Fat.
the candied
The
man
grease.
was
Yeah.
the crazy one. So the candied man. Have you read about that part?
I don't know if I got to that part.
So it's near the end. It's in like
No.
the cannibalism
Okay.
section. But the candied man, it's no one can prove that it actually happened, but there's like documentation and old ancient scripts that reference it. But basically, old man at the end of his life eats nothing but honey for like days and days and days until he dies, and then they soak him in honey, and so there's a coffin full of honey, and they soak him in it for 6 months or something like that, and then after that they eat him.
Like a candied ham?
It's like a chicken and waffle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you
Now
fry 'em
available
first,
at
but
KFC and White
White Castle. there.
yeah.
Just go for it.
So I thought that one was Candied Man was really interesting.
White
But-
Castle. You'll be less sick than eating McDonald's.
Yeah. So is this something typically you would pick up? Like, say you saw it in the store and just was like,
I might pick it up and glance at it. When I'm reading to learn, I want the book to be more serious. So I guess if people like to have fun when they're learning, but I also like it to explain, like,
Go further.
yeah, here's the topic we're talking about. I'm going to give you the information on the topic, not a snippet.
you don't want to have to stop and Google it
Yeah,
every 2 seconds.
And I felt like I was stopping and reading more on other stuff. So I mean, in that sense, it did create curiosity, but it was more from the frustration of where the book was lacking. So.
Well, it's just like bathroom readers. I love the bathroom readers books. So this is just more of like a medical version of a typical
That's
the
true.
bathroom readers.
Yeah,
and I would say I would agree, because you're reading one and you're like, oh, well, I'd like to know, like, you know, the average McDonald's bun has 157 sesame seeds on it. Okay, and then it just go into something else. It's like, you know, what was the reason why first off, why isn't it an even number? You know, why do we have to? I now have to pick off like one seed every single time I eat at McDonald's.
I
It's just like,
completely
what
agree with Nathan. This is a book that should be right beside a toilet.
but not in a toilet. Because I loved it. And then I forgot about the barbershop section where you just go in for, you know, shave, a haircut, drink some. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, it says. What does your note say? It says Sweeney
I
Todd
put-
shit type shit.
Yeah, because I'm just like, it's almost like the demon. It's like a more demonic. Instead of just like having them slide down the chair and snap their neck, get it over with. This is just like, you know, let's just do it.
Also Mozart.
Yeah. Oh, Mozart. Yeah, just because I had forgotten about
I think he liked the book.
how
I
he.
think so, too.
Well, because there's no real proof of how Mozart died. Not only, I mean, did his madness stem just from the fever? Did his madness stem from loss of blood? And then we have an idea of where he was buried, but like it's, you know, everything's unmarked. So and they've tried. I mean, they're probably still trying to technically find where where he's at. But I just found that fascinating. Anytime they put music, like music facts in a book, I just go ape shit. But yeah.
I like it. So what is your typical book that you read? So like say you're not reading to learn. What's something you like?
I enjoy fiction, and that can be either science fiction, fantasy, or mystery. I'm not really a nonfiction person for pleasure, unless it's a topic that I'm wanting to learn.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not going to go pick up the complete history of the War of 1812 because I don't really care about the War of 1812. But if it,
The electric dildo.
I would read that to top to bottom.
In and out.
You know, bottom. So no, yeah. So that's more where my focus is when it's pleasure.
Do you have any favorite authors?
Yeah, I like Brandon Sanderson right now. Is one. It's kind of really who I'm reading at this point. So, Brandon Sanderson's really good. I like more of the traditional stuff like Tolkien, or Tolkien, depending on how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Just don't say Voldemort. Found that out. Voldemort.
Entirely separate franchise.
R.A. Salvatore. Although he's more of, I don't want to insult R.A. Salvatore because I've met him in person, but he signed a book and it was really fun. But he's more of he writes really good action, but his stories are a little bit more pulpy.
Yeah.
But he also has to pump them out a lot quicker than other people. And then so that's the fantasy stuff. I really liked the Sue Grafton on more of a mystery. Standpoint, Agatha Christie. I could reread Agatha Christie books over and over and over again. Yeah.
They had this really nice collection of Agatha Christie books, $12. It was a little paperback collection at the Book Loft, and I almost picked it up, but I didn't, and I haven't seen it since. And I was like, damn me, why didn't I pick it up? Because my mom says when you see it, buy it, because you're never going to see it again. So I don't think I've ever asked you. Do you have any favorite authors?
I don't get to read. If it weren't for this, I don't.
He doesn't actually know how to read.
I don't. I went all by pictures. Like I saw this, and the first thing I think of is this looks like a guy from League of Legends, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. No, I don't. I wish I had more time to read, but I've got 15, 16-hour days, and it's hard. Like this is because it was over 3 months. I had 3 months to read something that
That's weird. I have 24-hour days. You have how long are your days?
I have a standard 9 to 5.
Well, no, but your whole
He's
day
making
is
it-
Oh, my entire day.
Keep on with it. It's
How
going to
many
make his joke. It's going to make him mad if you don't accept his joke. So you'd be like, just keep going with it.
No, I'm perfectly used to not being funny most of the time. I just, no.
Mine, it's an 8-hour day. My
Yeah,
day's 8 hours.
8 hours, yeah.
So, yeah. Super short. But I get more of them in a year.
Yeah.
This I don't have any favorite authors. I know it just depends on the book. Fiction, nonfiction doesn't matter to me. It's all about the interest.
Yeah.
I know that you could not pay me to read anything Star Trek or Star Wars. So I guess it just.
Because you have no joy?
I don't. I can't. I can't
This
do
book
it.
brought him joy.
This one I loved. I know. Obviously, books with facts, books that are, I guess, kind of like oddities, almost. Like I used to like books like when you're reading about somebody and they are there was a book. What was his name? John Claridge, The Elephant Man.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a book about him, like that sort of because it's nonfiction. Like that sort of stuff interests me, like with oddities and stuff like that. Or sports books. I love reading sports books as well.
Well, I don't know if you've seen my list of genres and books that I have planned for this. I have a huge long list, and I went total
Huge.
So
You just scroll
and
and then
it's
it's just
thick.
Huge.
Thick.
duh, has to be.
And veiny.
And full of
I don't think
electricity.
we're talking about books anymore.
So, but I have this long list of genres and books, and I do have a sports memoir one, which was in the voting for last year, but no one voted for it. And I
They're
want to read
wonderful.
them. They're interesting, and I like memoirs and nonfiction. I've read more nonfiction this year. I actually, full disclosure, I have about 60 pages left of this book because
It's the worst.
I had to finish up my Goodreads challenge, and it was going to be faster for me to finish those books.
Because they're
than
enjoyable
this.
and it's not work.
This is sometimes work to get through, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, I made a lot of marks and stuff in it, just like he did.
I marked in my book. Look, I read it. I put stuff in it. That's you. You sound like.
It's proof.
You have marks all the way to the end. Where's your 60 pages? Is it right after that?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
okay.
I'm like up to around here. So, so I had to finish my Goodreads challenge. So, but I got it done, and now I'm over it. So this will also put me over it by even more. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm definitely over it.
I was over it a while ago.
Yeah.
So-
I kind of
Built a
hovered
bridge-
over it and
I
then
built a bridge and-
slowly eased down on it.
I'm so over it.
And that's it.
You didn't hear it. I whispered.
That's it.
I whispered.
Is there okay? What was it, Bob Barker? We said.
Spade neuter your pets.
Is there anyone you would recommend? Would you recommend this book to someone, or is it just depending?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to people who were living in like areas like Alaska or maybe like really cold areas in Siberia where they just really needed something to get the fire started. I think it would really work for that situation. Also,
Maybe lighter.
people like Nathan, sub 75 IQ type area might be a good start. No, I don't mean that. If you enjoyed the book, you're not a moron. And I'm not trying to imply that I'm smart, and that's why I didn't.
No, it's just different personalities like and dislike different things.
No,
that's all.
it's just I felt like it was more of a bar conversation.
Yeah.
And so if that's the kind of learning style that you have, or the type of book that you enjoy, where you feel like it's more like a real life conversation, then yeah, it's going to be definitely up your alley, and you're going to find it really interesting. If you like reading things where it gives you a whole bunch of things, and you're like, then want to take time to learn more about certain things as more of an inspiration of what to learn more about, then also it's going to be right up your alley. I, however, am more of the family where it's like if I sit down to, a book where I intended to learn something, I intended to actually teach me. So
right.
It's just more my learning style, and I like also more of a textbook format when it comes to
Yeah, when I see textbooks, I fall
items,
asleep.
So.
No, okay, I can appreciate that. Thank you. So you've been with me through most of 2018, all but one book. Did you like the departure from the story aspect of the nonfiction? Because the other ones were more story based. Did you like how did you feel about the departure? Just strictly a fact book or like a fun fact
I loved it.
bar book versus the story nonfiction style?
I liked it because it piqued my interest, and if I want, because first off, I read the title, A Brief History, so I knew what to expect. I like this aspect because if I wanted to know more, then I could delve into it more. With the previous books, I mean, it all depends on how it's written. I mean, this one, it was easy to grab my attention because of how it was organized. You could see the different sections, and they made, like, I could care less about, the antimonies side of the medicine, but they made it interesting.
Yeah.
Or, hydrotherapy, electric shock therapy, all this stuff. But I liked how they grabbed my attention. The way some of the other stuff was written, it would take a while to get into it. And if it wasn't done properly, then it just became, just just so hard to even read. So for me, this one, it was easy to grab me right away because I guess I knew what to expect more. So that helped a lot.
Cool. So since this is Q4 of 2018, I was going to say 2018, so 2018, we did voting across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us at IABD Presents at all of those. And we did between science fiction, fantasy, and young adult fiction.
Oh, it was between 3?
It was between 3. Did you go online and vote? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Nathan
I did.
always votes for young adults.
Yeah. So young adult fiction did win.
As a person that works in education, no, that's going to get weird.
Yeah. Can we cut that?
No, nothing weird about it, or nothing. We don't intend anything weird. Oh my gosh, I'm just making it worse.
Anyway, young
just
adults
dig it
won.
right in there.
Young adults
Completely move on.
Yeah, just.
So young adult fiction is what's going to be for the next quarter.
Is the next year of books. So I've got 4 books set aside. Normally I give my guests the next book, but I didn't think you guys would be interested in the next one. It's called Point Claw, Pointe, so as in ballerina dancing on point. You know, young woman coming into her own. Is she going to accept the beauty of herself or the beast that lives inside?
I mean,
they made a
Nathan
movie
and I
about
are
that.
both fully experienced coming in into a woman as our own. So.
You are, yeah, and you
And
have a
after
background in ballet, so
I would say
yeah.
after watching Black Swan, I really appreciate how you can be crazy but yet still have a sexual awakening by getting eaten out by your enemy.
You just watched that one scene, didn't you?
Best friend. No, I have seen the whole movie. I can. That was the scene that popped out.
They did not. Yeah, it's longer than the 16-minute clip on Pornhub.
So I did get you guys something a little different. I got you guys bookmarks, and they're
Music.
so.
This
yeah.
one line.
Happiness
Yes,
can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Albus Dumbledore.
Well, I know you and Kayla like Harry Potter, so I got you guys a Harry Potter one, and then you and music.
And then I got you this one.
I got
Mine
you
doesn't
that
seem
one.
as meaningful.
This one.
Actually, Ryan, our producer, found that one first, and he said, "Here, this one's Nathan's," and I said, "Yep, you're right."
I love it.
So these are specific to them. Tried to, you know, because
Except I read bass class.
I do too, actually.
That's fine. It's fine.
I read words on pages.
Give a hand. I didn't realize he was squatting like for 30 minutes in like catcher's position. That's
I know.
hard.
He's got the Czech blood.
Like, I don't know how you did that, but God, I'm just looking at her like, oh, he hasn't moved. It's like a statue. Just like,
Yeah. I was really concerned about the computer not being plugged in the whole time. But
Oh, yeah, you pointed at that. I keep looking at it, and I'm like, well, if he's not worried about it, I'm not worried about it. How much battery power is
left? It wouldn't be the
left?
first time we
1%.
recorded something
So-
for 2 hours and had to do it
To
again.
do it again.
so the boring ballet book is next. What's after that?
After that, let me check the rest of the titles because I don't remember. Well, I didn't. No one usually asks about all 4 of them.
Well, I don't know. I
So-
might be interested in reading another book at
Yes,
some
no,
point
I would.
before I die.
I would welcome you
It's
back.
like, not like early teen, like the Spiderwick Chronicles.
No. This is more older teen. You know,
The
17, 18,
Spiderware
19.
Chronicles?
Okay.
So Point
Spider-
Claw by Amber J. Kaiser is the next one. After that is Looking for Alaska, You Will Know Me, and Cut. I'm very interested in Cut. That's going to be our fourth quarter one. I would actually probably be interested in what you had to say about it because it's about self-harm and as a teacher. And the author has said that she did 3 years of research to write this
Well, and
book
especially, I mean,
before she wrote it. So 3 years of research before she wrote it. So I'm curious if her research, because it's only a 150-page book.
Okay.
So
I
I'm
might be able to
yeah.
get through that one, yeah.
Maybe it's going to be close.
might.
So, but
well, no, and
yeah.
also from, I mean, like a nurse's standpoint, to see like patients that come in.
Yes, exactly.
Because what is it? They say like horizontal is for attention, vertical is
It's
for results.
Yeah. Don't go across the street. Go down the road.
Yeah, let's all
I don't-
continue to explain
Well,
this.
So between Tylenol and self-mutilate, I think we pretty much
Oh,
covered.
okay.
Yep.
So if you want to die a horrible, painful death, you
Please
will
don't.
overdose on Tylenol.
Don't. Yeah, Point Claw is by Amber J. Kaiser. Looking for Alaska is by John Green. You'll Know Me is by Megan Abbott. And Cut is by Patricia McCormick. And that's what we have coming up for all of 2019. So if you're interested, let me know.
This would be interesting to write about. Like music. Like I'm trying to think. Now hearing those titles, I feel like, wow, how'd you choose something upbeat?
Maybe like a discordant violin that goes across the street.
Down bow, up bow.
Oh my God. All right, well, with that, we will say our goodbyes.
Or maybe just the MASH theme.
So thank you, Nathan, for being, thank you, Nathan. Oh my God.
Thank you, Nathan, for being so incredibly handsome and joining us today.
What he said. And you can say my goodbye about Chris.
Bye.
Oh, thank you to special guest Chris Hollinger. Now you want that?
Yeah, that was what.
Is that what she was trying to say?
Yeah, that's what she was trying to get you to say.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you're welcome. You can say thank you.
And that was Quackery. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Nathan, for being here again. Thank you, Chris, for joining us for the very first time. And thank you for joining us on our creeper couch. Kind of hope it stays. I like it. We had to migrate to the basement because the house is getting ready to be sold. So, and then this was here. Anyway, so we will see you guys next year. Our 2019 genre is young adult fiction, and the first book is Point Claw, P-O-I-N-T-E as in Ballet Point. So by Amber J. Kaiser. I hope you join us for it. Watch the next episode, read along. It's going to start January 1st. And also, Quarterly Book Club is a proud is a proud member of the IABD Presents network. It's All Been Done Presents. There's wonderful written work, other podcasts, other video series, but one of the podcasts I want to highlight today is It's All Been Trekked Before. You know, friends Jimmy Jerome and Stephen Woosley host with a myriad of friends throughout the season a Star Trek podcast where they watch from the original series in the 60s. And we're going to go all the way through the entirety of the backlog of Star Trek. So we've got many years of that to come. Listen to the podcast. It's a lot of fun, and can't wait to talk to you in